Experts at Northeast Ohio Fence and Deck. Cleveland founded, built on quality products and quality installation for homeowners.
Hello.
Visit neofence.com or call 216-518-7444 to learn more and to make an appointment.
Hey, Cap,
today.
how's it going?
It's the summer of gummies.
Good, how are you, Brock?
In stores. Whether you're hitting the road for a beach trip or just in your
Gibbs and
backyard,
Bo
make sure to
are
head to
doing
your
the show
nearest True North
today,
store
and I'll be running the
grab
board.
2 bags of Skittles, Starburst,
Sounds good.
just $5. Experience the fruity flavored candy you love as soft gummies. Mix and match any Skittles, Starburst, or Lifesaver gummies for $5.
Check out the new True Rewards mobile app, now available in the Apple and Google Play Store.
True North convenience stores. Fast, friendly, clean.
Come join the fun at Hustler Club Cleveland, downtown in the Flats. Daily specials Monday through Saturday. $6 lunch specials. $2 domestics from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. $4 you call it starting at 11 and free cover till 4. Discounted dances and happy hour now from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. every Monday through Saturday. Plus, jump on the shuttle to and from any big game. Bring your ticket stub to get in free. The Hustler Club is your birthday and bachelor party headquarters. Come celebrate with us. Call to reserve your party now. 216-394-0191 or online at hustlerclubcleveland.com.
Times of transition, whether from a sad event or a joyful one, can leave us feeling adrift. Social connections are an important part of a healthy life. Being isolated and lonely can be harmful to your health. It can lead to high blood pressure, a greater risk of heart disease, and early onset dementia. So it's important to build and maintain connections to people, not just in your family, but others whose relationships bring meaning to your life. Trying a new hobby, volunteering, exercising, even using your phone or other device to stay in touch with others. All these can be great ways to keep
30, coming in 30.
and your physical and mental well-being. Visit connecttoeffect.org to see if you're at risk of social isolation and find ways to get connected. Presented by AARP Foundation with support from United Healthcare.
Coming in here.
And you're listening to the home of the Browns, 850 ESPN Cleveland, WKNR Cleveland, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Coming to you live from the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea, Ohio. This is Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Here are your hosts, Bo Bishop and Nathan Zagura.
You guys ready?
Yep, sure.
You got Kevin. You're up, Bo.
All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Gibby. You were in attendance. The kid had his dream come true.
Yeah. Now get back to work. Hope you enjoyed
Got
it.
to convalesce again, doesn't he? He's got to go off on sabbatical.
You're back tomorrow, buddy.
That is fun. It's fun. So you were on the fence if you were going to go. I wanted you to go badly. I was. I needed other things to happen. We'll get to that in a second in order for me to go. But you were in attendance along with other luminaries.
Yeah, I was at a. My wife and I had a summer party for our friends Mario and Lynn had their annual summer party, and I kept all week. My wife's like, "Are we going? Are we not going?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, what time is the party on Saturday?" And they always throw a great party, and they're really good people, and they're getting married next year. So she's like, "Oh, it starts at 4:30," and I was like, "All right, so we're going for dinner." And then, all right, let's make an appearance. So I'm texting Z on Saturday. I'm like, what time are you going on?
Yeah.
Because I don't need
You don't need 4 hours.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. It was a great it's an amazing venue.
Where were they? They were at the...
Is it the Masonic Temple downtown, like East 30th? Is that it, Kev?
Yeah, that's it.
Very cool venue. I'd never been there before. It was very cool. And so I'm like, all right, we're timing this up. We're going to walk in about 9 o'clock.
Yep.
We'll be there for about a half hour, and then we'll see him, and everything's supposed to end between 10 and 10:30.
Okay.
So we get there. It was right at the start of the match before theirs.
Oh, you're perfect then.
And I'm going to tell you, like, Z's match was great, and there was a lot to it, and
yep.
When he got crunched a few times, I might have giggled in glee. And we'll get to his match. But the match before it, when you involve a match with tables and 15 to 20-foot ladders, and you're falling into the crowd out of ladders.
Oh, my God.
And it was an amazing match. Now, my wife, mind you, has never been to a wrestling event.
Yeah, right.
Like, my nephews all wrestled, like regular wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
My brother-in-laws were all state qualifiers. Like, there's 6 nephews. They've all wrestled.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, it was all good. But she had never been to a wrestling
match.
event.
Yeah.
Pretty sure she's like, I've checked this off. I'm good going forward.
The kid looked great.
So yeah, we had this one match, and of course they have PBR tall boys.
That's
Wife
a win.
and I get some tall boys. We're like, we were supposed to be up above in like the GA section. We stood in like the tunnel right there, and I'm like, yeah, we're right here. Let's until someone boots us, let's just watch it from here.
Yeah.
It's great. The fact that he had an outfit, I'm like, do you see the spray tan? Yeah, sure. Okay. The number of people, they were selling Zagura merchandise. There was a merchandise table.
Merch tent. I love it. That's so good.
And like there was something on the front with his picture on it, and on the back it says "Never forget." And I'm like, "Never forget what? Never forget what? That he hasn't been here in like 2 months because he's been training? Like, I don't know. What am I never forgetting?"
Oh my God.
I'm like, what?
He sent me a text.
Are we buying it? I go, no, we are not.
We are not buying any gear. He sent me a text of the with an image of the outfit, and I thought, okay, this is another level. We're all in. I knew he would be because I know how much this means to him and how important it's been to his life. I mean, that's the other thing. Like for 25 years, this has been one of his. If it's not his biggest passion, it's his second passion to football over the last 25 years. So that part you knew, and he got to live out a dream. And it was, we needed a lot to happen in order for us not to be in Chicago suburbs on Sunday morning. Some of it did, and in retrospect, had I known what I knew mid-morning Sunday, we could have just left. But in the moment, I was really excited for him and thrilled for him. It seemed like it was really cool. They did a good job.
It was. There were a ton of people wearing his gear. He was the focal point of this 8-person match. Never mind the fact maybe the largest human being that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that the guy on the other
Satnam Singh or whatever.
Sure,
yeah,
6'9", 6'10", all of 4'10". I mean, he stepped over the ropes. Like he didn't have to like get underneath or squeak. He just stepped over, and I was like, well, if Z gets in the ring with this guy tonight, it's gonna be. It's going to be a problem.
He did get thrown around by him, didn't he?
He did. And then there was a moment where they had positioned him, and like the 2 guys that he was originally up against right before the very end, I mean, they literally take him in air. One has the backside, one has the front, and they just bounce him off of and I'm like, that is fantastic. Someone posted that video. It is saved in my.
You have that.
Yeah,
it's at the ready.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we'll get a full recap from him.
Yeah,
tomorrow he'll have
correct
kind of a full recap.
I'm sure it'll be the first 40 minutes of the show.
Just don't
Brock tomorrow
no
when
breaks.
you're putting the rundown together. Don't even worry about the first hour.
Quadruple stack heading into 2:00. We'll just go to 45 and then 15 minutes of commercial.
It was cool. He did a great job. He sold it. I mean, Jarrett got up at the beginning and just badmouthed the entire city, which didn't. Which turned the whole tide, towards Zagura and company. And, those guys were able to win. And it was a big crowd, and it was cool. And as soon as it ended, my wife goes, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to stay? Do you want to see? I'm like, no, we're leaving.
Yeah.
She's like right now? I'm like, right now.
Yeah.
Well, I walked in. I saw 2 matches. I saw him win. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's beat the traffic.
That's a win. So speaking of beating the traffic, we were at a point on Saturday where because of the boys' results, so we played 8:00 really to around 1:30 on Saturday morning. So by Saturday afternoon, we were to a point where it was abundantly clear that we were going to have to play games Sunday but also abundantly clear that we would be done early Sunday. Like we were going to be, last game was going to start at 8:50. We'd be done by 9:40 Sunday morning, and we would have been on the way home. So that was known heading into Saturday night. But they were both, one was, Beamsy was at 8 and NBC was at 8:50. And so I'm like, that's it. That's what you got to do. You got to do it. We came here. Let's go. So be at the field at 7:15. We get a text from the organizing committee at 6:57. Now, it rained the night before, and the fields were very mucky when we actually played them. Get a text at 6:57. We are delaying the 8 o'clock games because of the amount of rain that we got. Okay, this is at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're supposed to be at the fields in 15 minutes. Keep in mind now that the sky around northern Chicago suburbs is pitch black, and there's more coming. You pull it up on the radar, you can just see more coming. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, these fields are not going to be ready to play. Like
they're not drying out anytime soon.
No, and they're just going to take on more water in the next 2 hours, so you're not going to be able to play. And for teams like ours, which there was really no path beyond one game and done, what are we doing? Are we really going to sit around for this? So there was an incredible lightning strike, like no update. 7 o'clock, no update. 8 o'clock, no update. Incredible lightning strike right at the hotel. I loaded the whole car up. I'm like, we're going to the venue. We're going to the venue. We got to go see what's going on over here. So we go to the venue. This was the I'm going to share Gibbe. I'll show you the image. This was the okay. That's one of the fields we were supposed to play on.
Looks like there's a lake. There's a man-made lake.
Here's the common area.
More. Yeah. That's where you're supposed to stand?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
So I'm like, we're not playing. So it's like 9:30. I can't find anybody in charge. And I understand what you're trying to do when you're running a major youth tournament. You're trying to get all the games in. You're trying to crown champions. That's what people came for.
Crowning champions, collecting the money.
That too. But I think they'd probably their vendors would have been pissed off to cancel because then they wouldn't have gotten their money.
Sure. But
everybody else had already paid your admissions, your parking, all of that. So no update. I'm just going like, it's abundantly clear we're not going to play. And so I'm like, let's go. Like, let's just start heading south. If they have to play, we'll come back. But I mean, I'm going to roll the dice that we're going to not play. So I get about a half hour, 45 minutes outside of the venue, south, back towards home. And I get a message saying there's a new schedule. And what they decided to do is they decided to play games on turf.
Smart play.
They found turf. They found another high school. They found some turf fields. Okay, perfect. Makes sense. Now, NBC's team, because they weren't one of the top 4 seeds, they basically took the top 4 seeds, and then they played in bracket, and everybody else who was supposed to play was gone. So NBC's team was done. They're done. So it's 9:30. I'm like,
so
okay,
you're
fine.
1 for 1 on
one
the
for
day.
one. Then I get a notification. Beamsy's team, which is playing for nothing, is instead of playing at 8 o'clock in the morning, he's going to play at 12:45. Now, it's 9:45. I'm 45 minutes south of the thing. And because of something that 80 knows very well, we had changed up some deals with Buddy Garrity because we had to get home to him because we had changed some, then it was finite. So here's what you're weighing. Do we go home? We're 45 minutes of 6 hours in, and we have the dog situation where we got to go get back to him, or do we turn around, try to find some other help with the dog, and play a meaningless game at 12:45, and instead of getting home at 4:30, 5 o'clock, get home at 9:30, 10 o'clock?
Sure.
Which choice do you make, Gibbe?
There's no way that he's going to play more than one game?
Only one. There was no way and it was 26-minute, no halftime. 26-minute running clock. There was no chance for them to play a game other than one.
Goodbye.
So that's where I was. Now, because we had to get back to Buddy, that really made it an easy decision because we needed to. But that was mine. And I would just say to people running these tournaments, like, I understand you're worried about the top, the kids trying to hang banners, but there are hundreds upon hundreds of parents and kids whose days are also affected that you need to take into consideration. And by and large, most parents just want to go home, especially if you have a long drive. Like, we're 6 hours. Like, I had no interest in being there any longer. If we're playing for a title, okay, fine. Let's go see what we can do. But there was no way to advance. It was a one-and-done situation. So we drove home. Beamsy was in tears. But I'm like, we had the dog situation. Like, we got to go. Had to do it. That was it. So that's the way that worked out. A couple other things on Chicago. I had never been to Northwestern before.
Okay.
So I want to go
Which I
check it out.
find crazy given
So
the,
it is.
yeah.
So they didn't play every year because they were in different divisions of the Big Ten. So they didn't
Correct.
play every year when I was traveling with Ohio State everywhere. And the one time that I was scheduled to go there, Beamsy was born. So
kind of a big deal.
I got pulled off for that year. So that was the one year that I was set to go over there and cover it and didn't. So I'd never been over there. And so we'd go to the place, we go to the campus, beautiful campus. The amount of money that they've thrown into athletics, it's hard to wrap your head around. They have an indoor football facility that's right on the water, Lake Michigan.
It's pretty sweet.
Stunning. They have their own private beach that's right next to that. That's like a sand beach that's right by the football facility.
Nice.
They're the basketball, brand new basketball's there. They've got, so it's a stunning camp. If you haven't been, it's beautiful. You can see this downtown from there. It's awesome. What blew my mind, though, is the field that they're going to play 5 Big Ten games on this season, you could fit inside Byers Field.
Yeah. What is it going to hold 15,000? There was an article
Dude,
this morning in ESPN.
Okay, if it's going to hold 15, where are they going to park? Where? Because there's about 4 rows of stands up on the side closest to the water. They're still building the stands opposite the water. That's probably at most no more than 10 rows. There's an end zone area that looks like it seats maybe 3,500, 4,000. That's the biggest set of stands in totality. There's no place to park. There are maybe 50 spots, and everything else you're in the center of campus. Like, it's a really smart place. I'm sure they've thought of it, but it's going to be a logistical nightmare, even if it's 15.
Yeah. So there is an article out this morning. Came out at 9:15.
I didn't know that. Incredible timing.
It said, inside Northwestern's new but temporary football stadium.
Yep.
15,000.
Well, it ain't that now.
No,
They're still building.
No, there's the picture of the scaffolding.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So that's the end zone.
I mean, it's right on the lake.
It's
Looks
beautiful.
pretty sweet.
It's really cool.
Northwestern has not finalized plans for where to play its home games in 24 and 25 during the $800 million rebuild of Ryan Field. An alternative emerged, broached by Pat Fitzgerald.
It's a cool place.
The school would build a temporary structure around its on-campus soccer lacrosse stadium using an outdoor football practice field.
So that's what it is. It is the lacrosse field. It's the closest to the water. There is no space around it. I mean, it's really – now they're playing Indiana. They're playing Duke. They're playing a couple of non-conference patsies. And then they are playing Wisconsin there, though. They're playing Wisconsin there. And Duke is decent. But they're playing Wisconsin there. That is not far from Madison to there.
No.
They will take over that university.
Correct.
For sure. Like, it's tiny. I mean, it's tiny. Like, there's no question, like Paul Brown, like there's so many in our state high school level that would annihilate it from size.
So it says the university greenlit the temporary stadium in early April. The Wildcats will play most of their 24 and 25 home games, including several Big Ten contests at the revamped facility just yards from the shores of Lake Michigan. The team will play its first 5 home contests, including Indiana and Wisconsin at the temporary stadium, before finishing with Ohio State and Illinois at Wrigley Field.
Yes, yeah. Which
didn't
I
know
thought
that.
was wild because there is a football field in Chicago. Like,
I mean,
could you not play at Soldier?
speaking of awful renovations.
True, right.
But
like, you could have played there.
Yeah.
And instead you're going to do Wrigley, where there was one bowl game where they had to just go one way. Everybody went that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm happy for Buckeyes because it'd be pretty cool to play at Wrigley. I'm not happy for Skip Mossick and the guys on the Buckeye Network because that's going to be a beast. Stringing cable in there, I would think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not ideal. Yeah. So I mean, that story came out this morning. I was like, well, that looks pretty cool. I wonder if Bo got a chance to go over there.
We did.
Clearly, you did.
If I am in a town that has a major university that I have not seen, I will go see it. I am endlessly fascinated by how they build them, what the emphasis is, what makes it unique. I think they're all really cool. So I'm in.
So what will ultimately this stadium have from a capacity? Will it go back?
The new Ryan Field.
Yeah.
So they're like they say they're doing a renovation. It's a total rebuild. I think the only thing they kept was the press box.
Okay.
Everything else is starting from scratch. My hunch is they would be somewhere between 45 and 50. I can't imagine you'd want to be bigger than that. I'll look it up, but I can't imagine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know University of Illinois is like 60?
Yes.
Somewhere
they're
in
going
there.
even smaller. They're going 35,000.
Which is not, I mean,
Which
a
is
couple
smart.
years ago when we played the Chargers at that soccer stadium, it was 30,000.
It looks sweet. It looks sweet.
That looks better than what the Bears are playing in.
Yes. Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be 35,000's got to be the smallest Power 5 stadium unless Vanderbilt's is smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, Wallace Wade's bigger than that at Duke. Like can't be any. Yeah, it's bigger than 35.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I mean, that's like a 1AA. Like University of Montana's around that. So that's got to be. That's the smallest. But I'm sure their idea is, look, we can't sell it. We're sick of being taken over every time Ohio State plays here, or anytime a state school plays here. If we go small, maybe we can keep the demand high, and we can do it. Evanston was very charming. I was also just awash in nostalgia driving around these northern suburbs of Chicago, and I couldn't pinpoint why, but it all felt so familiar, and I hadn't been around that area too much. And certainly not in a very long time. And then it hit me as we were driving near Evanston, and we drove up onto the Home Alone house. And I went, oh, that's right. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Home Alone. They're all John Hughes.
Right here.
They're all northern suburbs of Chicago. So it was like, then it all clicked. I'm like, oh, I know that. That's there. It all locked in. So it was a little bit of nostalgia on that side of it with the.
So you got
John
to
Hughes
see the Home
connection.
Alone house?
It was right near Northwestern.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Kids got to know what that is.
Yes, yeah, they were abundantly aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All
that
right.
was pretty cool.
So bookstore visit? No bookstore?
Did the bookstore? We did the bookstore visit, and Bootsy was trying to decide between a T-shirt and his 1 millionth stuffy. He went T-shirt, which I thought was a sound investment.
About time.
One last thing
There
I'll
is
say
hope.
about this: that skyline is undefeated, and when you see it, we went 90 right through it. So when you see it from the south or from the north, either way, they just got it right. Like, it's just an American marvel to have the Sears Tower on one end, the Hancock on the other, and just everything in between.
Yeah.
It's crushed. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crushed.
I love Chicago. I wish they'd get their act together from the whole crime standpoint.
I tell you what,
but-
you wish you could get their act together on is their highways. Because
so
I don't know.
round two, you were going west last time. You went north this time.
Straight through.
And
Well,
how
there
bad was it on Friday?
We got in later. So it was okay. Like, we kept moving. It wasn't nearly as bad as the Rockford trip. And then Sunday morning, it was relatively smooth. But, like, there's stuff like on 90 where there's like an entire lane that has pylons in it, and there's no work being done. There is no construction crews there. It's just a whole lane that's not being used, and there's no evidence that there's any work ever been done there or ever will be done. It's not like it looks like it's impending. There's not machinery sitting. There's nothing
Correct.
there. It's just closed randomly. So that's bad. But that's baby stuff alongside of Indiana. I'm going to tell you this. There's absolutely nothing I want to do in Indiana. I know you're a Butler boy. God bless. The idea that as soon as you go from Illinois to Indiana or Ohio to Indiana on the turnpike, and the road goes from maintained and in pretty good spot to Frogger, you got a problem.
And two
Two
lanes
lanes.
in each direction.
2 lanes. Out of Ohio and into Chicago, 2 lanes. What are we doing? So one of my biggest pet peeves in the world is, and it just happened this morning on my way over here, is when people have the Easy Pass, when they go into the Easy Pass lane and they don't have the Easy Pass. Like, I really want to strangle them.
How do you?
It's illuminated.
Yes, it is.
Purple, green.
Yeah. Or there's a purple/green.
Fine.
If you'd like to go in that, you can.
If you're Easy Pass, you can go in any of them.
Correct.
You're restricted by nothing. If there was a line with nobody in it, go through it. You zip up through. Ohio has finally gotten its act together. We don't have turnstiles at every turnpike entrance anymore.
Correct.
The way we used to. Pennsylvania has been doing this for years. So we finally got up to speed. Indiana is not up to speed. They still have the stupid gates. Okay? So every single one that we hit, every single one, the 2 trips and 3 weekends out there, there have been people in the Easy Pass lane stuck. And I'm yelling at them going, you should not be in that lane. And they tell you.
I'm sure that's exactly how you said it, too.
The kids may have had a cuss counter on me. So you have the Easy Pass, right? Let's pretend, if those watching on the YouTube, you have the Easy Pass.
Hold it up to the window.
All right, so some people, you'll see people do this. You'll see people do this. They're this, all of it. So I'm a rule follower. So when I got the Easy Pass, they said, take these two adhesive Velcro, put them on your windshield, and stick it in there. Guess how many Easy Pass issues I've had in my life doing that? None. Not once has it never not got it. Gets it every time. You follow the rules on that, it gets it. This sometimes, my wife used to do this.
Oh, my wife, we were yesterday going to see 80.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, where's your pass? She goes, I lent it to one of the kids. I just got it back. So she's but she knows where, if you just hold it right underneath the mirror,
yes,
it always works.
It does. You have to be steady.
Yeah, you hold it right up against the window.
You got to have it up there, though. It's got to be touching the window almost. So when we went out there 3 weeks ago, my wife didn't have it Velcroed in the car, and I was nervous because I don't want it to be me.
Correct. You don't want to get up there, and it's like, whoa.
And people are going, you idiot, what happened? I'm like, no, I got an Easy Pass. First one over the Skyway coming out of Chicago into Indiana. And again, it's 2-lane, and then they got 10 gates. So it's just a mess. Just a mess. And there's people
because that makes all
everywhere.
the sense in the world.
So I see a guy who's an Easy Pass, who's a toll operator, Indiana gentleman, and he's walking across one turnstile to the next.
Perfect.
Okay, so the timing is going to work where, and I'm first into the Easy Pass. The timing's going to work where I have a decision to make. Do I let him cross in front of me, or do I go through, hit the Easy Pass, and I'm gone? Now, at this point, we've taken my wife's and we have put it on the window, so it's where it's supposed to be.
Sure.
I'm in a good mood, got through Chicago pretty good, going to get home at a decent hour. I let him walk in front. He walks in front. I go in front of the gate. It does not
go.
I look back, and the cars are starting to stack. And I'm going, I don't know, what do I do? So he's close enough. I go, sir. And he looks at me and makes eye contact and keeps walking. I go, oh, my God. What have we done? How do we get this? So now at this point, I can't get a ticket. Like you could push a ticket and you could get it and that would open it and I'll deal with it at the next place and then I'm fine with it. Oh, no. That was passed. We're sitting there. People behind me are honking. I'm getting the bird. I'm telling the kids. A lot of people think I'm number one. But then I look over. It's not just me. This guy did the whole row.
He screwed everybody.
So there were 10 lanes, Easy Pass and pay credit, whatever, all stopped.
I hate my job, so I'm going to take it out on every single person that's going through. Oh, my
God, dude. The line was into the free. They were 40 deep at every one. Then finally, like randomly, all of them went green. So he just made it right, I'm guessing. Dude, now I got to be back in Indiana this week, so I'm going to be careful because I got to go to Indianapolis this weekend.
Yeah, but there's no tolls.
No, there's no tolls, but it's still me in Indiana, and we don't get along. But the idea being like that state is the worst.
I don't understand how they cannot get this fixed.
They can't. Bootsy goes, Dad, are you sure it's worth the North Dakota? I'm like, yes, it's worth the North Dakota. North Dakota, the speed limit is probably 85. Go. Run freely. Every other state in the union can figure out a toll except Indiana. They're the only one. Can't do it. They have the gates in the middle of the freeway. And we're not even on an exit.
And you're paying. What are your dollars giving you? It's certainly not road upgrades.
My theory is that all of the tax dollars in Indiana goes to the Indianapolis Convention Center and the JW Marriott. And probably this athletic complex that I got to go to this weekend, this Westfield place. Yeah. This is where I think all of the money for tax money goes in Indiana.
So where you're going to that giant
Carmel,
complex.
Right? Yeah. Westfield, Carmel area.
You should reach out to Yellowstone. I bet you he can get you a parking pass.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That's where they hold training camp.
All right,
maybe he can get you a tour.
That's a good idea. Kids might like that little tour of the Colts facility. I forgot he's right there.
Yeah.
So that's where he works out of.
Yeah.
Oh, I will do that. I'll reach out to him. That'll be fun.
Absolutely. He'd love to see you.
Yeah, we'll do that. I would love to see him. I'd love to see him.
So I'm going to circle back. I'm going to tell you a great story about Chicago traffic.
Go.
Traveling with the team.
Yep.
This would be my second season traveling with the team.
Okay.
So now I've got a year under my belt. Feel pretty good. The great Spano and Casey Coolis are my engineers, and it's Jim and Doug, and it's Nathan's first year on the sideline.
Yeah.
With preseason game in Chicago, because that's what normal teams do in the preseason.
Yes.
The final game is in Chicago because it's a quick hop, skip, and a jump back home. First time going to Chicago. I'm excited. I love Chicago. My grandfather lived there for a long time. I spent many a summer going up there and visiting. We get on the buses. We land in O'Hare. Like, now, we're playing on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
So we get in on Wednesday. We're in rush hour.
Oh.
We're in rush hour. No, we're not. They start clearing a lane for us. I mean, we got from O'Hare to downtown. Everybody in the world hated us. And I mean everybody. You want to talk about being number one? We were number one.
Oh, my God.
It took us 25 minutes from O'Hare to downtown.
Oh, my God.
In the middle of the afternoon. However, I'm sitting behind the bus driver.
Yeah.
I have my own seat. Deke is sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
On the opposite aisle. So he and I are talking and we're hanging out. Occasionally a car comes into the lane. Bus drivers are laying on horns, working through. Out of nowhere, bus driver goes, "Everybody brace for impact."
Come on.
Excuse me? Now, I mean, what's your first instinct? Not to brace for impact, but to look and see
what's coming, baby.
Bang. Guy goes, the car stops. The bus pushes the car out of the way and keeps right on going.
Come on.
And he goes, in a motorcade in the state of Illinois, it's illegal to get into a motorcade. I have every right to push him out. He goes, we're going to do it again. I watched 3 buses take out cars, and the cops wrote those people up with tickets.
Come on.
Nope.
That's such an obscure law. How would anybody know that?
You are not allowed to get into a motorcade of any kind, whether it's a funeral procession or anything. Like, you can't interfere in a police motorcade.
Is that the rule here?
I don't think so, because it's not the rule in 31 other cities.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Did you have to buses going
Brace
martial
for impact. Law? Bang. Pushing a car off into the side and just keep right on going. And the bus driver laughing the whole time. Deke's laughing.
Deke's laughing. Of course he's laughing.
Everybody's loving it. I'm like, what is going on? Like, are we going to jail? Am I going to be a witness to this? I don't have time for this.
Oh, my God. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
But I guess there's some law that you can't get.
How would anybody know that law? Like, it's so obscure. Who would look that up? That's not a driver's test.
Correct.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Brace for impact. One of the greatest things I've ever heard on a road trip.
Did they get that sorted out if they're going to stay in downtown or they're going to go to the suburbs?
No, they have not
They're
gotten
still
that
working
figured
that
out.
through.
Yeah.
We've seen like imaging of like what it could look like.
At the 11th hour, it looks like they're going to, right now it looks like they're going to stay downtown and build something new, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had my fill. I enjoyed it a great deal. It's a great town. I just, if I worked there and had to go into the city, I would just live in the city.
Yep.
Even with a family. Like, I just deal with it. I couldn't.
There are schools in the city.
Yeah, because I'm looking back. I mean, looking in and out on Friday night, just seeing everything converging on downtown, I'm like, this is nuts. Like, you'd spend 2 hours every day in the car.
Yeah.
Trying to get anywhere.
Or you spend an hour on the train.
Yeah. One of the two.
I had a program director friend that I worked with when I first started in radio, and she became the PD for a station in Chicago, and her commute every day was like an hour to 90 minutes on the train, to and from. I'm like, how do you get anything done? Oh, you just bring your laptop.
Work on the train, I guess, is what you do.
What?
Yeah. Wild.
No.
Absolutely wild. Also wild that Nick Chubb can squat 585.
I believe we have a video. Jordan, do you have a video of this? I think we actually, there it is. Maybe. Oh, the mouse is moving. Look at it. 8 months after surgery. Look at the bar before he even lifts it.
So they're designed that way to bend with that type of weight. But oh my God.
I'm gonna tell you, there is no need for that young man to be lifting that.
You're gonna tell him no?
I'm not going to tell him no. In no way, shape, or form am I telling him no. But I don't understand, like, don't you reach a certain max point where it's like, I don't want you to harm yourself.
That's crazy.
8 months after surgery.
Yeah. Look, here, God, this is unbelievable. No one would ever doubt Nick Chubb.
Correct.
But it's not going to be that. It's going to be left-right. It's going to be cutting. It's going to be.
I know he can run straight.
I know he's going to be able to do this. It's just going to be, can you get that same shift when you're in a hole and somebody's in it? Can you pop left? That will be the thing where he's going to have to build up the trust. But if we have him at 70% of what he was for and eventually working towards. My hunch is if he can continue to stay healthy, that by the end of the season he could be really close to what he used to be.
Sure.
But that's down the road, and you need a little luck along the way as well. But that's such good news to see him doing that.
Yes.
585. God almighty. That's nuts.
These guys are doing the math. They're looking. They're like, all right, the bar's 45.
Yeah.
How many 45s does he have on each side?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Just like, okay.
Easy, buddy.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Like, let's just build it up and let's work on the left to right.
That's him, though, man. No one's telling him no. Hot Topics today presented by University Hospital's official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll go around the sports world, including the future of Good Morning Football. That's coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Guys down.
You're in a rideshare accident? Call us at Elk & Elk. We'll protect your rights and negotiate the maximum compensation for your injuries. Call Elk & Elk at 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free and private consultation.
Bring on the fun with the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Football will be back before you know it, Browns fans. But even in the offseason, it's never too early to kick things off with Bally Bet. Place your first bet of $50 or more on the Bally Bet Sportsbook app, and you'll get a $50 bonus bet to use on your Browns or any sport you love. Prepare to bring more fun to your fandom with the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Bally Bet, an official sports betting partner of the Cleveland Browns. Must be 21 plus. Ohio only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
With Cottonelle bath tissue, there is definitely strength in ripples. Cottonelle Ultra Clean is free of added perfumes and dyes and 2 times more absorbent versus the leading value brand. Cottonelle Ultra Comfort is our softest ever and 3 times more absorbent versus the leading value brand. Clean with confidence. Clean with ripples. Go grab your Cottonelle today at your local discount drug mart, the official drugstore of the Cleveland Browns.
There's nothing like tailgating, touchdowns, and Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea goes down smooth and tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. Cool, refreshing, and a 5% kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Browns fans deserve the best game day experience at Cleveland Browns Stadium. That's why the Browns have teamed up with Evolve Technology, their official security screening partner. With Evolve, fans walk right through entry screening without stopping or emptying pockets or bags, all while still enjoying best-in-class protection and the peace of mind of a weapons-free environment. Visit Evolve.com. That's EVOLV.com to learn more about how you and your family can enjoy the same convenience and security wherever you gather to work, learn, and play.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
Be a part of one of the most passionate fan bases in all the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster, the official waitlist to your Cleveland Browns. Joining Next Gen STM is the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons.
Back in 30.
Visit clevelandbrowns.com/nextgenstm to reserve your spot today.
Do you have a Social Security disability claim which has been denied, or a workers' compensation claim from a work-related injury? Call the Social Security Disability or Worker...
Coming back here.
Elk & Elk. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries.
Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
You're up.
Billy Joel, Rod Stewart together for the first time ever. It's Friday, September 13th, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Tickets are on sale now. Visit clevelandbrownsstadium.com/Billy and Rod 2024 for more information. Claim your tickets now and don't miss Billy Joel and Rod Stewart together for one night only. Around the sports world, very anxious moments last night. I don't know if you saw the Copa stuff. I'll get to the Good Morning Football in a second.
How did they play that game?
It was 2 hours and 22 minutes delayed. I guess that from the reading about it, it looks like they just got rushed. Like everybody just rushed in, people who had tickets and who didn't.
I watched people crawl in through air ducts.
Yeah.
That stadium is not one of my favorites to begin with, but I'm like, what is going? It's total anarchy.
It was probably the worst place in America to host that game. It's not a secret that the biggest population of Hispanic people in this country is in South Florida.
Correct.
And so there are tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of South American expats in that area. And so it was really a powder keg of all of it. The people from Columbia obviously were quite enthused to be playing for a final.
Sure.
And it led to it all, but it does call into, this did not go well for us hosting this Copa America. Like a lot of the stadiums were trash. The turf was garbage, complained about consistently. And now this thing that happened in the final and in the semifinal, you had the Uruguay guys going into the stands to fight Colombian fans.
Eyewitness videos show.
Yeah. So I don't know what that was, but
I don't know either.
But that's where it was just an awful look of it for sure. All of that.
Yeah, and this is the tune-up for the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, this was the Copa Americas. This is the championship of our hemisphere.
Yeah,
and
we're hosting World Cup in 2 years.
We're sharing. Yeah. It's us, Mexico, and Canada.
It was bad, guys. It was bad.
Kev, I don't understand. I don't understand how they got everybody out. And then people were like, there are fans that are squatting in their seats. There are people that paid like $15K. It was an expensive ticket.
It's $2,000 ticket. The other thing that was crazy is like they were going section by section trying to physically remove people who didn't have tickets. And the other problem with this is now that we do it this is how you do it now. Every ticket's on a phone. But the problem with every ticket on a phone is with screenshotting and with all of that other stuff. Yes, it's one barcode, but who knows how something gets shared around and how it ends up. To you, you're buying a ticket secondhand, third hand. What's the validity of it? The old days, you tear a ticket. Okay, physically, I tore a ticket. You can go in.
Yeah.
It's different.
And if you like, similar to your little adventures on the turnpike, if you get backed up, and all of a sudden the ticket taker who's just overwhelmed is like, just go ahead. Like, I'm assuming you have tickets.
Yeah, it was as big a mess as you're going to have.
Yeah.
On that side.
That was happening out of nowhere, like last night, because I'm like, I'm going to turn over and see what's going on, and there was nothing, and I'm like, what are we delayed? Maybe it's a weather situation down there. I don't know. And then they were like, no, it's just the entire stadium was overrun by people who didn't have tickets.
Entirely, yeah. So that was an absolute mess of things. Argentina ends up winning. And so there you go, and you'll have the World Cup here in a couple of years. This morning it was announced that Good Morning Football will be back on television July 29th. The studio show relocated from New York to L.A. Jamie Erdahl, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt, Akbar Baha Mia, and he replaces Jason McCourty. And then there's another female, I think, who's on it too.
Correct.
Whose name escapes. But
that's all right.
So there's a big sea change here. This show is going to air now from 8 to 10 Eastern. So this show was 7 to 9.
Sherry Burris.
So this was a 7 to 9 show.
I don't know
when it started, right? 7 to 9. Isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
Or was it 3 hours? Was it 7 to 10 or 7 to 9?
I think it was 10. I think it was 3 hours.
Was it 7 to 10? So whatever it was, Eastern, and they filmed it in New York City. They are now going to film it in Los Angeles live 8 to 10. Doing the math, state school again. That's 5 a.m. start time. That means a wake-up call around 3, probably for anybody on, and from a talent perspective. People behind the scenes are probably coming in at 11 o'clock at night, quite honestly, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's now become a morning show, truly in that sense of the word. So now your life's flipped upside down. You're going to have to sleep in the middle of the day in Southern California. That's it. That's a product of moving it from east to west.
It's
so
at the NFL Network headquarters.
Yes.
And there's going to be some kind of Good Morning Football overtime. That will be a show that strictly airs on NFL Plus from 10 a.m. to noon.
Okay. So I'm guessing Kyle will have a lot to do with that. And it sounds like him and Schrager are going to be both in New York and L.A.?
Yeah, which is funny because I feel like that's why McCourty got left out, is McCourty wasn't willing to move to the West Coast. But for this, it's like, oh, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if those guys are going to move or not. Here's the thing about that show. The total audience for that show is not as big as you would think it to be if you were an NFL fan. You would think it would be hundreds of thousands. It's not. It's usually under 200,000 if memory serves. But the right people are watching that show.
Correct.
It's on in every facility. It's on in every time back when I used to come here in the morning and get breakfast, And it was on. It's on every television. It's on omnipresent in every facility.
Yep.
You go to the Combine, it's on all the time. In NFL circles, that is a rock star show. So there's a disproportionate view of how important it is because while the masses aren't watching it, the right people are.
Sure. It's fascinating to see what happens because NFL Network, as we've talked about, is they've gotten rid of a lot of people.
Yeah.
They just blew up their Around the NFL podcast.
Oh, they did that too?
Yeah. They got rid of a couple guys. The one who was a regular on our show for a long time. What was his name? Now, of course, I'm forgetting and doing Mark Sessler.
Oh, Sessler's out.
Yeah. They trimmed that down, and now it's like a different podcast. It's been renamed, and our good buddy Nick Shook is part of it, which I'm happy for.
Well, that's beautiful.
him.
Yeah.
But they continue to make a lot of changes, and I know, like, I was asking today, we're going to be at the Greenbrier, and welcome back to football. You know, there's that. They normally do a whole weekend. And I'm like, is anybody coming? Like, is NFL Network even covering stuff? They got rid of all their reporters.
It's a great question. Are they? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's why I don't know.
So
my guess is knowing how the business works, they probably just went younger and cheaper across the board.
Yeah,
it would be my guess. But that's a big. My wife did morning news for a while, and they were on at like 4:30 or something, 4:30, 4:28, some nonsense, and she was a vampire. She did it for like 6 months. She's like, this is not a way to live. I can't do this.
No,
It's
you have
tough.
to change your whole lifestyle.
Yes, you do. That's it.
And I worked morning drive on the radio side when I first started in the industry, and like morning show guy, I've told the story. Woke up at midnight.
Yeah.
Or woke up at 11 so we could watch the 11:30, the Lenos and the Lettermans and know what was going on, and then just started into show prep. Did the show and took a nap from 10 or 10:30 to 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then was awake for like 6-7 hours, and then slept for 4 hours, and then started it all over again.
There's no ever getting on calendar either.
No,
you're never getting on clock. You're just constantly tired.
Yeah, I mean, from a vacation standpoint, you can't vacation because by the time you figure out that clock, you're back to the other one.
No, yeah, I can't even imagine when we went when we went to Hawaii, trying to get back on that calendar. It was bad enough getting on this one. I can't imagine. Getting on the other one.
I don't know. I understand the whole LA thing, but I just
financially I get it, but I don't understand it. I understand they're going to save money on production and rental space and all that, but I think it's a tough way to do a morning show out of Southern California.
There's a reason why every morning show on a network TV is on the East Coast.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's going to be pitch dark out there.
Yeah.
Speaking of broadcast, Fox has released their broadcast teams for the upcoming season. So it'll be Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady. They will debut with us.
Correct.
Against the Cowboys. So you'll have that. Joe Davis and Greg Olson, Team 2. Adam Amin and Mark Sanchez on a team. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Kevin Kugler and Daryl Johnson, and Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth. Those are your Fox broadcast teams.
Which I'm fine with all the play-by-play guys. Vilma last year was a little rough.
He was very rough, yeah.
And Moose is a pro's pro. He knows what he's doing. I like Schler.
Sanchez was pretty rough for us. He did not show that he knew what he was talking about with our game.
I was going to say, the fact that those two are now the third and fourth teamers worries me a little bit.
Yeah, he was not prepared.
Correct. And remember now, Fox, our games could be on Fox.
Yeah.
Remember, it's kind of a free-for-all.
It totally is. A couple other news around the league. Jordan Addison arrested for driving under the influence near the LAX airport. This was on Friday. Previously, in July of 2023, Addison was cited for speeding and reckless driving for going 140 and a 55. Good grief. This incident occurs less than a week after Addison's teammate, Kyrie Jackson, was killed in a car crash. Brutal look across the board.
Yeah.
And just dumb.
Yes. Come on. You are a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Pay someone to drive.
I mean, it's so easy now. There's just no excuse for driving when you're under the influence. There's none. In the old days, there weren't cabs or there was no Uber. There was none of that. Even then there wasn't an excuse, but it's so easy now to not have to deal with this.
Yep.
And some sad news. Former Ravens wide receiver, Super Bowl 47 star Jacoby Jones passed away yesterday peacefully at his home. He was 40. known for his heroics during the 2012 postseason with the Ravens defeating the 49ers. I was at that game. In the game, Jones had a 56-yard receiving touchdown, a 108-yard kick return for a touchdown, which is the longest play in Super Bowl history. What was the illness?
I don't know.
Cancer, right?
It has
40?
not said anything, but the fact that it said peacefully
leads me to believe cancer, probably,
or something
of that way. Yeah,
40. That's.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a player.
He really was.
He had a little run.
He did. He absolutely did. We're due running backs coming up next.
Yeah, Zagura is actually going to break it down for us.
There you go. The running back room with Dr. Z coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Daily brought to you by Bally Bet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. And we're going to get rolling with our position preview series as we get ready for the opening of Cleveland Browns Training Camp 2024 and, of course, the Browns 2024 season. And we're going to talk today about the running back room. And this is a room that's got some new faces, hopefully the return of a very familiar face, and also a new coach, as Deuce Staley is now in as the running backs coach. And if you're just listening to this for the first time, I would urge you to seek out on social media or on the Browns YouTube channel our interview with Deuce Staley from right here in this studio, because he is captivating and he is an incredibly charismatic and powerful and intense leader. And he's gonna bring that to the running back room. We've already seen that in the mini camp and in the off season. Now, are we gonna run the ball quite as much as we used to in the past? Perhaps not, but we're going to be more out of shotgun. We're going to run against a lot of lighter boxes than we have in the past with this new offense. It's a combination of Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey. And the running back room is going to be a huge part of what the Cleveland Browns do, because they have been one of the best running teams in the NFL as long as Kevin Stefanski's been here. Running backs are very important, not only as runners, but also as pass catchers out of the backfield. They are very important in pass protection on some of those key third downs. So this is an important room, and it's a room that is, I think, going to be fun to watch, because you've got a lot of talent in here, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But it all starts and stops right with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb last year was taken out in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, suffered that horrific knee injury. He's been rehabbing ever since. But the time that he was injured last year, he had 170 yards and not even 3 halves of football. He was averaging 6.1 yards per carry, and he was looking as dominant as ever. And this is a guy, Nick Chubb, who is 4-time Pro Bowler. He made 4 straight from 19, 20, 21, and 22. Basically, every healthy season in the NFL other than his rookie year when he only started 9 games. In 2019, he had 1,494 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry. 2020, it was 1,067 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 5.6 yards a carry in only 12 games. In 2021, 1,259 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry. And then in 2022, his last full season, 1,525 yards, a career high, 12 rushing touchdowns again, and 5 yards a carry. So Nick Chubb is the best running back in the NFL. I wouldn't count out Nick Chubb in terms of his ability to return from this injury and perhaps even be ready as early as week 1. But while he is, out, the Browns will be a committee at the running back position, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think you've got a lot of talent in that room, but hopefully when you get Nick Chubb back, and perhaps it's week 1, perhaps it's week 6, perhaps it's middle of the season, he is going to be a difference maker, because that's what he is. He's averages 5.3 yards per carry for his career. He leads the league in runs of 10 yards, leads the league in runs of 20 yards. Basically, since he's become a starter, prior to getting injured last year, and he was doing it again last season. So Nick Chubb is as good as it gets, and I love that he and the Browns were able to work it out so that he would be back with the Cleveland Browns for this season and hopefully beyond. And we're all very excited to see him return to form. Now, we didn't have Nick Chubb last year, and so your top 3 running backs from a year ago were Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, and Pierre Strong. Jerome Ford gave you 1,132 yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt gave you 495 yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns. Pierre Strong gave you 338 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. And so if you kind of add all that up, you're basically almost at 1,900 total yards and 19 touchdowns from the running back position that did not include Nick Chubb a year ago. So if that's a baseline that we're using, that's pretty exciting to me. And so we know that Kareem Hunt is no longer with the Cleveland Browns, and boy, was he great. The career-high 9 rushing touchdowns last year. So clutch in short yardage and important situations. Think about the 4th down touchdown run against the Indianapolis Colts and that dramatic win in Indy last season. He's gone. And so Jerome Ford is back, entering his 3rd year. Last year, 813 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 4 yards per carry. Too many negative runs, though, as his success rate was just 39.7. That was the lowest of any of the running backs. But he showed great aptitude out of the backfield. 44 catches, 319 yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns, which were tied with Amari Cooper for second most on the team. So you get Jerome Ford back. You get Pierre Strong back, and I like Pierre Strong. You guys all know that. Pierre Strong last year, 63 carries, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.6 yards a carry. That was actually second among all running backs on the team behind only Nick Chubb. His success rate, only he and Nick Chubb were over 50% last year, so he can tell he's got it in 5 catches, 47 yards. I think Pierre Strong has the chance to take a real step forward this season. And I think he's going to be a big factor as a kick returner, potentially, with this new kickoff rule. He's looked very good in mini camps there. So I like Pierre Strong. So you got Ford and Pierre Strong, two guys entering their third year. You got Nick Chubb, the veteran. And then the Browns brought in another veteran, and he will wear number 27, just like Kareem Hunt did before him. And this is a guy that I am very excited about, D'Onta Foreman, because D'Onta Foreman has been a very productive player when given the chance. Last year with the Bears, just 9 games, 425 yards, 4 touchdowns, average 4 yards a carry for his career. 2,326 yards, 14 touchdowns, and he has got 4.2 yards per carry as his average, 34 catches, 342 yards, and 3 scores there. So he's averaged 10 yards a catch for his career. So that's not really his forte. He's never caught more than 11 passes in a season. Actually, last year was a career high with the 11 catches. But D'Onta Foreman is a good, tough runner. When I talk about, getting opportunities, when he's gotten opportunities, he has been incredibly productive. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at the games in his career where he's had the most rushing attempts. With Carolina back in 2022, 31 carries, ran for 130 yards and a touchdown against Atlanta. Against Tennessee, as a member of Tennessee against the Miami Dolphins in 2021, 26 carries, 132 yards and a touchdown. Against Atlanta with the Carolina Panthers, 26, 118, and 3 touchdowns. Against Denver with Carolina, 24 carries, 113 yards. Against Pittsburgh as a member of the Tennessee Titans, 22 carries, 108 yards. Against Houston that same year in 2021, 21 carries, 69 yards. 21 carries, 74 yards with Carolina against Seattle. 21 for 165 against Detroit and a touchdown. 21 for 80 and a touchdown against as a member of Chicago against Carolina a year ago. And you go down 19 carries, he had 109 yards. So if you look at 11 games with 19 or more carries, in 11 games, 19 more carries, he rushed for 100 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of those 11. He rushed for 80 yards or more, 9 of those 11. He scored in those games 7 rushing touchdowns. 7 100-yard games, 7 rushing touchdowns when he actually was given the football 19 or more times. D'Onta Foreman, I think, has an opportunity to bring an element to our backfield in this committee situation that, we have not quite seen, because yes, he can do all the short yardage stuff that we saw from Kareem Hunt, but he also can really shoulder the load, be a 20-carry guy, bell cow if you need him to. He can take it to the house. He has the ability to break off long runs. So I'm very excited about D'Onta Foreman. And then there's Nyheim Hines. And Nyheim Hines, coming off of an injury that cost him all of the 2022 season, he's a guy who definitely can run it. He can catch it for his career. 1,202 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, 4 yards a carry, receiving 240 catches, 1,778 yards, 8 touchdowns. So he's been a better receiver out of the backfield than a runner. And in fact, started his career with Indianapolis, had at least 40 catches in 4 straight seasons. Career high 63 for 482 and 4 touchdowns back in 2020. Now, he missed all of the 2023 season with an injury. He is rehabbing. He is back. Should be good to go for training camp. So he offers probably is the best pass-catching back on the roster right now. And then Nyheim Hines is also a great returner. In 2022, he had 2 kick returns for a touchdown. He's got 2 punt returns for his touchdown as well back in 2019 with Indianapolis. So this is considered to be one of the better return men in the NFL, and he kind of rounds out this room for the Cleveland Browns. And so you've got, in Jerome Ford, a guy who can do everything, a little bit everything, right? He can run it, he can catch it. You've got the explosive nature of a Pierre Strong. You've got the big 230-pound hammer in D'Onta Foreman. You've got the returner/receiver in Nyheim Hines. And then you have the best back in the NFL in Nick Chubb. And so when he comes back, you're going to see Nick Chubb being Nick Chubb again. And that's what I think is very exciting for everybody else. So this is a room where you have all the pieces, the power, speed, size combo in Foreman, the receiving ability in Hines, the kind of do-it-all in Jerome Ford, the electric speed in Pierre Strong. So a committee trying to do the work of one man, but when you get that one man back, I like the depth here. Not to mention, you also have some other guys going to be battling to make this team, or at least make the practice squad here. John Kelly, who's been on the practice squad for many, many years. And then Aiden Robbins, who's an undrafted free agent out of BYU, another big guy. Like Foreman, 6 foot 235. He's 6'2", 237. So another young hammer who was very productive in college. So that's the running back room. I expect the committee and we'll kind of see how those roles will be fleshed out. But I expect a committee here in this first, until Nick Chubb returns, and then he'll probably be eased back into things, and then hopefully by the end of the year, it's Nick Chubb, the Nicholas Jamal Chubb that we all remember, the 4-time Pro Bowler, guy who is always a threat to lead the league in rushing every single year. So that's a look at the Browns running back room, and we'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, right after this.
Homeowners, if your roof is your roof rather ready to withstand another harsh winter, do it before it is too late. Talk to my friends at Renew Home Exteriors. They're offering free roof inspection with a detailed report and quotes for repairs or replacement. The expert team at Renew will assess the condition of your roof and provide you with the information you need to make an informed decision before the winter months arrive. Protect your home and your family from the elements. Visit RenewEstimate.com today to schedule your free roof inspection. Don't let winter sneak up on you. Renew Home Exteriors, your trusted partner in home maintenance, keeping your home safe and sound, one roof at a time. As we've done this now with several of the position groups, and we're on to the PFF ESPN comparison. PFF, John Costco, responsible for these top 32 tight ends of the 2024 season. Jeremy Fowler, his list comes from executives, coaches, so forth and so on. The Costco 24. Remember, the big differentiator here is with PFF, they have the numbers that they plug in and go.
Correct.
Nothing subjective other than the way that they weigh the numbers. That's it.
Yep. And then the ESPN one is the scouts, the front office, coaches, analysts. There's a whole panel of people.
Yeah. All right. So, number one on the coaches.
Yes.
Travis Kelce.
No surprise. And number one in PFF.
And number one by a ways. It's really amazing. Like, Trav is now 34 years of age. He is now more popular than he's ever been because of his significant other. And yet he still is the greatest safety blanket in the sport for the wizard of the sport in Patrick Mahomes. An NFC executive on Travis rather. He still is a matchup problem in the passing game, still has tremendous rapport with Mahomes. Big with great hands, instinctive, effective after the catch as well. Yeah, he's unbelievable. First ballot.
I didn't realize he missed out on an all-pro first or second team and a 1,000-yard season for the first time since 2015.
He wasn't a all-pro tight end?
That's what it says. Stand by.
So would that have been
Is that the
Kittle?
23?
Jeez, how is he not first or second team all-pro?
Let's see.
I assume Kittle was one of the all-pro tight ends.
This is from the AP. First team tight end was George Kittle. Second team tight end, Sam Laporta.
Oh, he was a monster.
Still.
He was a monster. Yeah.
I mean, at the
That's
end of
wild.
the day, again, Kelce was the best receiver that Patrick Mahomes had.
So if it makes you feel any better, guess who else wasn't first or second team all-pro? Patrick Mahomes. So, Dak Prescott was second team. Lamar Jackson was first.
They're doing just fine. They have
just
the
fine.
ring.
That's
All right,
right.
go ahead. Take your
all-pros.
Yeah.
Quarterback's always tricky because there probably needs to be more. Kittle's second on this list.
Yes. I'm sorry. PFF had Kittle 1, Kelce 2.
Oh, they inverted it.
Yes.
So they went Kittle, Kelce.
There was no write-up for Kittle, which is weird.
The front office guys went Kelce into Kittle. So that makes sense. Kittle's just 30. I thought for some reason he was older than that. So there's a lot of time left for him. And he's on his way to being a gold jacket first ballot as well. If they can win a Super Bowl, then that cements it. On the ESPN list, Mark Andrews is third. I bet he's lower than that on PFF or not.
PFF, number 3. Yeah.
There you go.
I told the guys as we were making this, I feel like he's made his career against us. For a long time, we had a lot of trouble covering the tight ends.
We did.
Not anymore.
No. Now we're fine. In those days, problem.
But he's missed a lot of games.
He has. That's why I'm surprised he's third on the PFF list. It makes sense on this list, but on PFF, I would thought the injuries would have been taken into account. Sam Laporta is number 4.
I mean, for the guy that was second team All-Pro to come in fourth, number 5 on PFF's list.
He was 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He was one of the ones where I do 2-a-days in the morning when we get into August, 2 NFL teams every day. We usually go division by division. I was talking to the guy, I think Jeff Risden is his name, who covers the Lions. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, is there a guy that people aren't talking about enough? And he said, Sam Laporta is going to be a dude. And so I drafted him, and I told Z to draft him. And I'm like, Jeff's pretty good on knowing those things, and he nailed it. So thank you, Jeff, for that. He delivered in every way for them. Second-round pick.
And that takes us to the number 5 guy. Do you remember when the Lions traded with the Vikings?
Sure.
Like in season, interdivision.
T.J. Hawkinson, number 5 on this list.
So he was 4 on PFF. They
Okay,
were
so
inverted here.
They were inverted here. Number 6 is a name you know, the great Chief. David Njoku coming in at number 6. This is just an incredible – it's such a cool thing what he's made of his career. To think about the early years of it, and you think about Austin Hooper coming in here to kind of sort of replace him, and then Chief just stood tall. And now I would say, with the exception of Nick Chubb, is probably the most popular offensive player for the Cleveland Browns. He's been that. He's kind of one of the faces of the organization. He's still just 28 years of age, which is crazy, but he's been here 8 seasons. A remarkable thing for the Chief. Some of the comments on him, one veteran NFL personnel man, it's probably taken him a while to get down the nuances of the game, but his size and athleticism have always been a problem for defenses. He's not polished, a little inconsistent when it comes to feel for the game, but he's gotten better. There's a lot of work to do still, which ought to be terrifying for everybody else.
Yeah. It comes down to what's the connection like with Deshaun Watson. He
Yep.
had a lot of success with Joe Flacco. If you've listened to any of the Victory Friday shows, called his name quite a bit. PFF has him number 9.
Okay.
Which I'm not so sure about. But
well, yeah, again, like it could just be, their whole thing is like, I'm sure they're measuring like catchable balls that you caught, how many drops on that type of. They're doing all that, like, so that it's different than just the eye test. This is a dude, which is what you're getting out of this list that Jeremy Fowler put together. Dallas Goedert is number 7 on this one.
So Dallas Goedert was number 6.
Okay.
For PFF.
I'll tell you what, most of these we've done have been pretty well aligned.
Correct. Now the interesting one is number 7 for PFF was Kyle Pitts. Pitts was an honorable mention. He's at the bottom. But as I was telling the guys, like, here's a guy that we thought was going to be the man for a long time and just had garbage from an offensive play calling standpoint. So it'll be interesting this year to see what happens now that he's got some people that know what they're doing.
He's also a guy who would score better for PFF because he is a catch tight end. He's not a blocker.
Sure.
Really. I mean, he's like another receiver. So in their data, he would fare very well. Dalton Kincaid is 8 on this list. Dalton Kincaid of the Bills.
Where is Dalton Kincaid? Number 13.
So that's our first one out.
Yes.
So who do you have at 8 on the PFF?
Number 8, Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals.
Trey McBride was second honorable mention on this one. Number 9 was Evan Ingram of Jacksonville.
Njoku was number 9, but he was number 10.
Ingram was 10?
Yep, on PFF.
And final one in the top 10 was Dalton Schultz of Houston. He was
Schultz. Number 16.
Oh, well down the list.
Yeah.
So who rounded out your top 10 then? Who was your 10th?
Number 10 was Evan Ingram.
Oh, Ingram was 10. Okay.
So there were 2 missing. The best of the rest, Cole Kmet, Jake Ferguson, Dalton Kincaid, Brock Bowers, Pat Freiermuth of the Squealers.
Brock Bowers is the rookie out of Georgia.
Yep.
I have a feeling he's going to be a dude.
He will be a guy that we have to account for when we go to Las Vegas.
Yeah, just
if they use him right.
Who's slinging it there, Minshew?
Yeah, which he laid it on against us pretty good in Indy last year.
He did. That was probably the first time that I really realized that I was maybe wrong on Justin Fields when his offensive coordinator in Chicago could choose between him or Minshew, and they went Minshew. And that's not a slight to Minshew. Minshew's been wildly capable. He's kind of like the perfect backup.
Sure.
But it's well known he's not like, let's go build an offense around this guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'd rather do this going forward. All right, so there you go. There's your tight end breakdown. We'll play a little thing or not a thing coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The Browns single-game tickets now for all the great matchups at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to purchase today. So today's the day. If you did the pre-order on the NCAA football, drops today.
Really?
The deluxe edition is available
Did you
today
do it?
for purchase. I forgot.
I was going to say, I did not.
All of the kids, like they were all jacked up for it, but because of all of the
commitments,
all the nonsense I've been doing, I lost track of I can't wrap my head around that today's July 15th. I can't. So I forgot. I dropped the ball. All the reviews on it are that it's spectacular and they crushed it and made it great the way that the previous game was.
So if you didn't pre-order it, when can you start playing it? Saturday?
I think Sunday? I can still, if I buy the deluxe, I think I can still get that in pretty short order. Like I think if I go home and buy the deluxe, and so the deluxe I believe comes with Madden. You get it and Madden for some crazy fee, probably $180 or some crazy thing, and then that gives you access to both. So I think I can still do that today in real time. It just won't be preloaded.
Gotcha.
So I dropped the ball on that. I should have had it preloaded and ready to go.
Send him outside.
As I
Is
said,
Boots even
gorgeous.
allowed to play video games right now?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Like he was busted for a while.
Yeah, he had one of the most comprehensive. I'm standing there with a buddy. Anytime he goes, Mom, can I talk to you? I know it's coming. So we're going to try to find a way for Mom to buy us something. So I'm standing there with a buddy of mine. I'm like, watch this. So he goes over and he goes, Mom. So there's all of these youth sports things. They have these like merch tents forever. Like for lacrosse, it's heads and gear and all this stuff and T-shirts and all this. So he needs none of this
stuff that doesn't even have anything to do with the tournament. It's a tchotchke convention.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's just stuff. Like there's now that you can buy a stick and you can buy stuff like that that's tangible, but like a lot of it's nonsense. So and he doesn't even care about any of it. Like I just think it's the thrill of the chase for him. It's the hunt. Like, can I convince Mom to buy it? That's really it. So I'm sitting here with a buddy of mine. I'm like, watch this. So he drags her over to like a T-shirt hoodie tent where they make like custom hoodies. They'll put like I'm a boss or whatever with a lax stick, that type of nonsense.
Sure.
Sigma, so mid, blah, blah, blah. No, that's how all these idiots talk. So I see him make his way over there and he's dragging her. And I'm like, watch this. He's going to watch how diligent he is. So she's like, no, I see her shaking her head because we agreed, like, we're not doing anything. So she starts to peel away, and he just defensive slides right in front of her. And he goes like this, like hands up, like, wait a second. So then she like tosses her head up, turns around, and goes back to the tent. So now I see, now he's done it. She's engaged.
He's got her right where he needs her.
Who knows what he sold her on. So now I see a guy grabbing a shirt, and I tell my buddy, I'm like, I guarantee you she does not have any clue on how much that T-shirt is. There's no clue. That T-shirt could be $19.99. It could be $40.
Yep.
My bet is on the latter.
Yep.
That it's probably $40 is probably where it is. He will not. He will wear it one time. He'll put it on at this tournament, and he'll never wear it again. So I'm seeing this all go down, and he's working his magic, and so we're getting stickers. I'm like, there's no. Of course, has anybody asked like? Every single decal we put on this, is there an extra cost? You bet there is.
You're darn right.
Yeah, you come out looking like Richard Petty by the time this thing's done, with just stickers everywhere. So he comes out. So then they come away, and he's got nothing. So we're trying to do all this stuff. He comes down, head is dropped. She comes over. I'm like, what happened there? I thought we weren't getting anything. She's like, well, we didn't. And I said, yeah, but why? What happened? So apparently the guy couldn't get the decals to stick because it was so humid. That he couldn't get the decals to stick on the T-shirt. So as she tells me this, I go, "Did you even ask how much that cost?" She goes, "No." And I went, "Great, fantastic. That's exactly how the whole thing operates." So he's a mastermind. He's diabolical. He's got his strategies. They work most of the time. Usually, it's finding any way, like a cutting horse. You see, like a horse, like cut a piece of a cow from the rest of the herd. That's what he does with my wife. He is a cutting horse. He cuts her away from me, and then he works her. And it happens over and over again. They're not coming this week to Indy. They're going to stay back.
Just you and
me
the
and the older two are going.
Oh.
Like, I am terrified at what will be purchased. Like, what I'm coming back to
Prime
Sunday
week
night.
starting tomorrow. I already had a conversation with my wife about this because I have been alarmed at the number of packages that have arrived prior to Prime Week.
Right.
And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is it? I've noticed there's 7 boxes.
That's right.
And not one of these has my name on it.
I've ordered none of this.
Yeah. I don't have anything going on, and I'm not seeing anything from these.
That's right.
Where
I
are
know
these
what's going to
boxes?
happen, and I'm not saying anything to my wife, Gibbs. I just know I'm just letting it happen because I already know what's about to happen and what I'm about to see when I get home starting on Thursday.
No,
I don't even know what some of this stuff is.
Like
Kev.
this Amazon Prime stuff tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yeah,
it's a
terrible.
2-day event.
Yeah.
What
and there's
could go
stuff
wrong?
I didn't even know
Everything.
existed that shows up.
Yeah.
Like she had some sort of a tent that folded up into a circle for Bootsy to crawl into to get out from under the sun at these tournaments. What are we doing?
Put a hat on him. He's got 40 of them.
I look down there. Oh, he's got, yeah. I look in there. It's him and 2 other little kids, and the one kid is like sucking down red Gatorade and eating chocolate. And I'm just going, what do we just do? It's just a walking stain.
Yep.
Is all it is. That's all
Well,
it
no,
is.
it's a hideaway to do illegal things.
Just snacks.
Illegal
It's a
family
hideout.
thing. Yeah,
That's right. It's a hideout.
Snack shack. It's a pop
all
up
it
snack
is.
shack. It is.
That is.
I was talking to my kid yesterday, and we were talking about babysitting, and I told her about you catching him in a potential live with the video games, and like, oh, let's go have a conversation with mom. I just want to make sure mom's good with that.
That's right.
She goes, Gibby, I do that with every kid I watch.
Yeah,
like every single kid now
Yeah.
that I watch, that they're like, kids jumping on the couch. Mom said I could do that. Oh, all right. Well, let's go talk. No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Immediately stops.
Yeah.
She's like, it's amazing. On a dime, I can get these kids to do what I need them to do. Just by going, well, let's ask mom and dad
Let's
for
ask mom and
permission.
dad. Yeah. I'll tell you what, if AIDS ever has, and I know she hasn't any trouble with our kids.
No,
but if
she loves your kids.
If that ever did happen, all she would have to do is say, the correct response would be, let's ask dad. Then solved.
Yeah.
Because that answer is no.
I get the strong impression it might also be in the Trotter house that way.
That way too? Let's ask dad.
Yeah. Well, and she's like, Mrs. Trotter is great.
Yeah.
And she can throw some discipline around.
Yeah.
She goes, I've been witness to this.
Yeah.
She goes, but when you say dad,
Yeah.
the tone changes immediately.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh, I bet it's that case.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, I don't know. That's
No,
how it should be, but that's how
my
I grew
mother,
up.
My mother could throw some discipline around.
Mine could too, but
like
the heavy was.
when your father gets home from work.
That's it. Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And I don't want any part of it.
I don't want that. All right,
No.
let's hit a little thing or not a thing.
Yes, absolutely. CBS Sports. I've got it up here on my phone, so that way you don't have the 40 pop-ups.
Thank you, sir.
T. Higgins, little disgruntled, going to play this season in Cincinnati, but landing spots potentially.
All right, what would it take? So is this based on the idea that they would trade him in season? Or
Yes,
before
potential trade, potential teams that could trade for the wide receiver.
I think it would be. I can't believe it hasn't happened already. I can't believe they're willing to let him
play this out
the way they did with Jesse Bates.
Sure.
And he walked for nothing.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like, I know it's tough to trade him because the problem with trading him is whoever you trade him to, they then have to do the contract. And no one's going to want to pay him $26 million to play receiver. So that's the price. So because of that, your return is going to be less than what it ought to be because he's a stud. He's a 1A.
He was the first pick in the second round, so he wasn't a first-round pick.
But he's played like that, and he's a 1A. Like, he's not Jamar Chase, so he shouldn't be paid like a 1, but he probably thinks he should get paid like a 1.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's really complicated for them.
Injuries last year, 42 catches, 656 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's totaled 257 catches for 3,600 receiving yards and 24 touchdowns in 4 NFL seasons.
Yep.
That's pretty darn good. Best seasons in 21 and 22 when Burrow was healthy. So requested the trade. With that in mind, any teams with receiver needs at this juncture would be wise to call the Bengals to see what the cost would be to acquire Higgins. Here are a few landing spots for the playmaker with both the need and the financial flexibility to sign him long-term. I think that second part is important. Thing or not a thing,
yep.
The Washington Commanders.
I think that would be like what happened with, and I'm not saying he's the same player, but that's going to be like Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, or that's going to be like DJ Moore last year going to the Bears, whereas He may put up numbers from Jaden Daniels throwing him the football, but he's going to disappear off the grid. I think the give back from Cincinnati I would be fascinating in. Like, what would Washington give Cincinnati? Do they have that at all in there? Any sort of idea of what they would give back would be?
No,
okay.
They do not.
So if it's just a true free agent landing spot, I would not advise T. Higgins to do that. The checks will cash, but you're not going to stack after this. You're going to be miserable, like as we saw from Devontae Adams at the receiver show.
Yeah,
miserable.
Yeah. I don't. And I think the other thing to watch is, doesn't Brandon Ayuk want to go there? Isn't he watching like Commander film?
I don't know what was the connection. Oh, because he played with Jaden Daniels at Arizona State 100 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Thing or not a thing? The New England Patriots.
Not a thing.
If I'm T. Higgins, I don't need to go there.
No, that's a mess. Yeah. That's a massive rebuild.
Correct.
Massive rebuild.
I
would not go there.
No, not at all. Somehow they had the New York Football Jets on here.
Well, hold on a second. How many guys are they going to have? Aaron Rodgers told us over the weekend that looks forward to playing with Devontae Adams again.
Correct. The Jets don't have a ton of cap space to play with. Well, that just discredits the entire argument that you made at the beginning of the article when you were like, we factor in they've only got $6.25 million left. But they could get creative in their accounting for a Higgins extension by providing with a massive signing bonus and backloading his contract to defer larger cap hits to future years.
I get that from that standpoint, but I think that's a mess.
Devontae Adams is who Aaron Rodgers wants back.
Yeah. And there's a window on Rodgers. Like at most of your Higgins, you got 1 or 2 years more with Rodgers. Because all this, I'm guessing, is that this would all happen after this season. He would leave via free agency, right? Because otherwise, what's your give back? Here's the thing. If he starts with the Bengals, there's no way they trade him because they're trying to win the Super Bowl. So the only way they would trade him is if there was another injury to Burrow.
Then you could trade him. Over.
And we're out of it, so then we'll trade him.
I agree with you on that. I don't – and again, you have some pretty good wide receivers on that football team.
They do. Yeah, for sure.
The final one on this list was the L.A. Football Chargers.
Now you're talking. You see those facilities they opened over the weekend?
Boy, did I.
Yeah. So they had thrown a lot of money around. Harbaugh is a winning coach. He will win there. And you've got a big-time quarterback. And you go be the one.
Right now, I don't know who else is going to be the one on that football team.
No, there isn't.
He would immediately. If I'm the Chargers, I would be trying to make this happen now.
Yeah. If they're serious about trying to win right now, I mean, they can do that. They just got rid of Allen. They got rid of Williams. They're both gone. So, they need a guy like that. He's a big body receiver on the edge. He can do about anything that you want at the position. To me, that seems like a no-brainer. I think that's a thing for him. I think it's a thing for them. I think Cincinnati, boy, our division, it's chock full, and there's just critical decisions. The Ravens, they have a bunch of turnover on their defensive staff. They lost a bunch of players. But I think the heart and soul of what the Ravens are remains. They have Lamar. They've got Harbaugh. They are the Ravens. They feel like the Ravens to me. And because of how well they draft, they've been able to just plug guys in when guys leave and expect nothing. Pittsburgh has major questions. Huge. Like, which quarterback are we going to play? Are either one of these guys our future? Or are they both just rentals?
Especially after you didn't pick up the fifth-year option on Fields.
Right. So these guys both just rentals. Like, you're going to have to see Fields play at some point. Like, you took a flyer on him. Like, you want to see if there's more there than what we saw in Chicago. And the same time, you have Russell Wilson. So how do you manage all of that? We've got our questions with Deshaun. Hasn't been healthy. Has not played at a level consistently since his time in Houston, in large part because of injury and off field. So we've got questions. And Cincinnati's got monster questions. They have pressure of, all right, we blew a window with Jesse Bates. That's gone. We lost last year to injury. This year we're all in. Higgins and Chase, one last dance together. But if there is an injury to Chase, Higgins, or Burrow, how do they react?
Correct.
Burrow's had 4 pro seasons. He's missed 2, the majority of 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's real. So they've got huge. All of these teams' ceiling is
and the problem
rocket
is
ship.
Everybody's window is now.
That's another great point.
Lamar, now. Steelers have I hate to say it, they have everything else. We have everything. Mm-hmm. We're waiting to see what Deshaun can do this year.
Yep.
Can we get some other guys back upright and healthy?
I don't know if the division's ever been like this, where all 4 are in a window to go that this is the second year in a row where I would have said this, that if you went to every one of the operations, because Pittsburgh would have said it last year with Kenny Pickett, even though we didn't believe it. If you would have went to any of those front offices, they would have said, yeah, let's go win the Super Bowl. Everybody in this division feels that way.
2 years from now, this division could look totally different.
Totally.
Got to win now.
Yeah, the window is open, but
Yeah.
I think for everybody, it's either wide open or starting to close. And this incarnation of the Cincinnati Bengals is going to be different next year.
Yep.
Dramatically different after that. Already different than the team that played in the Super Bowl. So that's the way that this thing goes. And yeah, they're all in the window. I was trying to. I suppose there was a time in the '80s when it was Boomer and Warren Moon and Bernie, but then Pittsburgh would have been like a Mark
Bubby
Malone
Brister.
into Bubby Brister.
Grossness,
and they
which
weren't
I loved.
They weren't anything with that.
No, they sucked.
They sucked. Yeah, they weren't anything till Cowher got there. Then they kind of got going a little bit.
Correct.
With Neil O'Donnell, but I
Yep.
mean it was a few years. I don't know if the division. This is 2 years in a row of this where the division has been this consistently good, and everybody thinks they have a shot at this thing. All right, there you go. Good job on that. Coming up next, Z goes one-on-one with defensive end Za'Darius Smith. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Sports Collectors Convention returning to Cleveland, the IX Center, July 24th through 28th, featuring 140 superstar athletes: Ramirez, Montana, Mayweather, Iverson, to name a few. Over 850 exhibitors. For tickets, visit nsccshow.com today. And now here is Z and a CBD exclusive one-on-one with Za'Darius Smith.
Very happy now to be joined by
You're down.
then Za'Darius Smith. Za'Darius, great to see you, man. How you doing?
Sir. Great. Happy to be here, man. Happy to be back for OTAs, getting ready for minicamp, baby.
All right, this is the question I'm sure on everybody's minds. You point out General Manager Andrew Berry recently received a contract extension. Very nice. How different does a helmet feel?
A whole lot different. I feel lighter. I've been having to get some adjustments for my helmet because, I had dreads for 18 years. So it was a lot of adjustment I had to do, but it feels good, man. I feel light, man, ready to go.
Feel like maybe a little quicker around the edge, a little more aerodynamic. Let's go.
Yeah, I've been seeing it. Coach been talking about it, man. It looked like I look like 10 pounds lighter, so I'm happy that I look that way and feel that way. How about that?
So your room, obviously a lot of fun. You guys very much enjoy each other's company. How great has it been kind of getting everybody back, getting to be around the guys again?
It's been good. I can say I've been missing the guys because I've been home in Florida trying to take care of the family or whatever, but just to have this brotherhood, man, our room is so different, man, and unique, man, because it's not just, in the locker room or in the classroom, man. We get outside of the facility, man. We go eat, watch the basketball games, man. I think we got a dinner tonight at one of the restaurants downtown. So it's just the little things, man. The team camaraderie for this defensive line, I feel like that's why we were one of the best defensive line this year. Well, defenses this year, because we all can get around each other, man, and have that team camaraderie.
And you've been on very successful teams in the past. There's something special about this locker room, and I've heard that from a lot of the guys, and you smile as soon as I ask you the question. What is it? What is that secret sauce?
I don't know, man. I just feel like it's the team camaraderie, what we was just talking about, man, the brotherhood, man. Don't nobody act like they better than one another, man. And like I said, guys are brothers, man. We be trying to help each other with the little things. If somebody mess up, you can go talk to the guy and help him with his mistakes, man, and he'll listen to you knowing that it's coming from love and from a real brotherhood type of situation.
Jacques Césaire comes into the room, played in the league, and obviously I've talked to some of the guys in your room already. They're loving him and kind of what he brings. So as a veteran like yourself, what do you see from Jacques Césaire, and a guy who obviously had a lot of familiarity with Obo from his time in Houston?
Yeah. Great guy, man. It's just the little things, man, that he's seeing that a lot of guys are not seeing right now. It comes with formations. He's looking at the backfields and knowing what type of situation that we're in. If you're getting a reach block or a cutoff block, the guys just see everything before the snap of the ball. So that's good, and hopefully he can pass it down to the young guys as we get going with minicamp.
Is it nice having a little infusion of some young guys also in your room and some guys who are, Isaiah McGuire coming along, Alex Wright coming along?
Yeah, I tell McGuire, man, he's still a rookie, man, after 3 games after this year. So I'm telling him he got to get all the rookies, situated. We need the snacks in the room. I think that he have to get the helmets. The guys have to get the helmets after practice, man. So it's just the little things that we do for a tradition, for the rookies, man. But the rookies are coming along well. They're listening, man, and they're learning and getting better each and every day.
Feels like you're just having a blast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, me? Yeah, for sure, man. I love the game, man. Going into year 10.
Wild, right?
I would have never thought of 10 years in the league, but it's a blessing, man. A lot of guys don't even see 3 or 4 years, man.
2.
Two, yeah, you're right. But a guy for me, man, coming out of high school, 1 year high school football, now 10 years in the NFL, man, it's a blessing, man. We're going to keep going.
What is one thing maybe you wish you had told your high school self about kind of the journey that you would go on?
What would I tell myself? My younger self?
Yeah. It's going to work out, that's for one. Believe in yourself, baby. Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself, but me, I was a guy that was a basketball player, and I thought I was going to make it to the NBA.
Okay.
But as we all know, that wasn't going to happen. But just to say, the passionate and the love for the game, man. My younger self did not love football. I love basketball.
Yeah.
So now that I'm 10 years in, man, it's all a blessing. Coach, it's a blessing to be here, man. And I just say, man, consistency. You got to have that in this league, man, because if you don't have it, you could be out the door real quick.
You're not going to be on the field.
You're right, exactly. Not making any money. So, man, I just say that, man, is just to have that, and hopefully that'll take me a long way.
All right,
hopefully 5 more years.
That'd be great.
Man, I know,
yeah.
right?
5 more.
14 years.
Yeah, that would be a legit career there. It already is, no doubt.
Yes,
all right. you piqued my interest with basketball, Za'Darius. So you dreamed of. What's crazy is in the NFL, you're a big guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In the NBA,
Yeah,
you're
small.
a point guard.
I'm a small guy.
Right?
Can't drill.
So can't drill. Well, that would have made it. That would make it tough, right? It's 6'4", 6'5". So what was your game like?
So when I was coming up, what was that? 2010 to 2011, from a small town. So I was the guy that played the 5 because I was from a small town. I was the biggest guy in my hometown.
I bet.
But I got a chance to play travel ball, and there was a lot of guys who were 6'8", 6'9", 7 foot, and I couldn't get any rebounds, man. I was getting my shot blocked. So some just told me, man, get this up, man. Go try football. And that's what I did. I tried football, man, and I think it was too late to where the coach was just telling me, man, go get the quarterback. And I was good at going to get the quarterback. I was good at, jab stepping and spinning from basketball, and hell, it all converted over to football. So here I am now, man.
And by the way, that is a very profitable skill to have, being able to get the quarterback.
Sure, for sure. I totally agree with you. Yes, sir.
I got to ask you. So I remember seeing you. This was pre the haircut. I think it was Cavs Magic playoff game. You were in a tremendous blue getup.
Yeah, blue.
And I was saying, you look to me like remember when The Rock was doing Ballers?
Ballers?
Yeah, okay. If he was like central casting, I want to see what a badass NFL star looks like. What you wore to that game, that was it right there. So how did we cultivate this? How did we go with it? And was it as well received near you as it was for me, kind of a little across the arena?
Well, for sure, I'm a Cavs fan. That night, I think I had that outfit custom made. And that was the only outfit I had to wear out. So it had to been blue, and it had to been playing the Magics at the time. But for me, man, that was a silk outfit that I had made from my guy Rich from out of Houston, man. He do a lot of my custom outfits. Actually, it took 2 weeks, so I was gonna wear it either way or not. But that was just the game that I wish it was maroon and gold instead of being all blue. But
don't even worry about it. You look spectacular, man.
But
Don't even worry about
it. I'm a Cavs fan.
He had the shades going. He had the chain going. It was like
red carpet.
So when you're there and you're sitting, I think you were like maybe second row underneath the basket. When you see a guy like Paolo Banchero, who's 6'11", and built like that and moves like that, is that where you say to yourself, you know what, I made a really good decision going into football?
Yeah, for sure, because I knew I wouldn't have been able to get any rebounds up under him or beside him or any shots, man. So I'm glad I made the decision that I made in 2011 to go out and play football.
We're glad you are too. Last one. Any fun travel this offseason? I know Obo spent a lot of time in Japan. Did you get to do anything with the family? Obviously, it's a little different for you as a family man, but any good trips?
Not just yet, man. I'm gonna do one right after mini camp. I know my kids are younger, but they're getting older now. My youngest daughter will be 1 year old in 2 weeks, so she'll get a chance to travel now. We're thinking about going to somewhere like Tokyo.
Okay.
Or somewhere real nice, or Hawaii, man, just to get away for a week. And then I'm getting back to work after that and getting ready for training camp.
I love it. Let's go, Za'Darius. Always appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right, there you go. So much more to come. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, there you go. We are back tomorrow. Z will be in the
Oh,
studio with us.
Great.
And there that's what happens. So much
Just
more
one
to
day a
come. You
week.
like that?
Yeah.
You like that? So much more to come. It's all we have time to do. The next level is coming up next. We are back tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.